This is the secondary audio circuit from Visnews London. This is the secondary audio circuit from Visnews London. This is the secondary audio circuit from Visnews London.
Could you please characterize results?
Well, we had very good talk, particularly about the question of border demarcation, and I'll be going on to Cairo later this morning to continue the discussion of that problem. We also reviewed with the Prime Minister the events of yesterday in Lebanon. We both agreed that both sides have every interest in seeing that the situation will remain calm and that the cessation of hostilities agreement, which was negotiated by Ambassador Habib, will be observed.
Assuming that this interview is distributed worldwide, as almost certainly it will be, would you have a message for the Argentinian opposition?
I should have, obviously. Yes, I suppose I would. I think they'd be very ill-advised to try and take us on, because they'll suffer some very severe losses. We will undoubtedly take losses too, which I don't fancy, but on balance, if you're talking about a gambling game, which we're bloody well not, we're talking about life and death, let's make that very clear. I would put our chances as being considerably better than the opposition's. And I would be prepared to put a bet on it 20 to 1 and be sure of doing well out of it.
That's in terms of...
And this is no bluff.
San Marino was scheduled to open the European Grand Prix season, but the FOCA boycott, led by the Williams and Brabham teams, leaves Sunday's start grid at Imola looking decimated. Only 5 Formula One teams are still preparing to race, among them Ferrari and Renault. It was their protest which led to the disqualification of world champion Nelson Piquet and Keke Rosberg from first and second placings in Brazil last month. An FIA appeal tribunal awarded the race to Renault's Alain Prost instead, a decision that angered FOCA president and Brabham team chief Bernie Ecclestone.
What we would like to do is get this matter clarified, and possibly we could postpone the race or something like that. We don't want to hurt the organisers, we don't want to damage anybody, quite on the contrary, but, you know, what's happened is well, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, wake up tomorrow morning and find they've changed something else. And it's not the FIFA that's changed anything at all. It's this tribunal that's changed it. It had no right to do.
The young extremists gathered on the rooftops, and getting them down proved quite a job for the military. As they manoeuvred the ladders into place, they were pelted with stones and bottles. The soldiers eventually made it to the rooftop, only to face more determined resistance. One by one, the protesters were led away, but the remainder clearly weren't prepared to give in easily. Reinforcements came from an adjoining rooftop, but their way was blocked by a wall of bodies and burning tyres. Eventually, a crane was brought in, and soldiers were lowered to the roof in a steel cage. Some of the protesters were dragged down the ladders, while others went down the way the soldiers went up.
First it was foam, and then high-pressure water hoses were brought to bear, and by this time the fight was almost over. However, this woman intended to struggle to the very end. There were some injuries, but none reported as serious. The religious conviction on which their opposition is based was obvious, but to no avail, with the government having 20,000 troops in the area to enforce the eviction notices. With the fight over, the bulldozers quickly moved in to reduce the town to rubble. This is Don Lang reporting.
Stephen's death has aroused strong feelings here, so hundreds of people left work early to go to the funeral in the Bogside. Stephen's two brothers were in the forefront of the cortege, and school classmates were among the mourners. Roman Catholic politicians and church leaders have joined in demanding an end to the use of plastic bullets here. They particularly resent the fact that they're used in Northern Ireland, but not in Britain. Stephen McConaughey was buried at the city cemetery as 1,500 people watched. But violence started today, even before the funeral was over, around the Rossville flats, yards from where Stephen was fatally injured by an army plastic bullet. For the fourth night running, petrol bombers are on the streets. Londonderry tonight. The security forces face the petrol bombers again, with every chance of more plastic bullets being fired.
The powerful bomb exploded in a fashionable shopping district just off the Champs-Élysées during the morning rush hour. Windows were shattered for hundreds of yards, and debris was found on the top of 8-story buildings. The bomb was left in a hired car outside the offices of an Arabic newspaper, but police say it could not have been intended to damage the offices, which were near the top of the building. The official line is that the bomb was planted by Syrian agents because of the newspaper's anti-Syrian position. But it's also been linked with the international terrorist Carlos the Jackal. He had threatened to act unless 2 of his lieutenants were released from French prisons. The bomb went off only hours before the 2 received lengthy jail sentences. 1 woman was killed in the explosion and more than 60 were injured, and there was nothing left of the car but the twisted remains of its front wheels and engines. The French Interior Minister, Gaston Defferre, has reacted angrily, saying he's sick of France being used as the battleground for other people's political squabbles. He ordered 2 Syrian diplomats out of the country and gave them 48 hours to leave. This is Chris Hardy reporting.
Con destino al avión y el presidente saluda a los periodistas. ¿Todo muy bien, señor presidente? Todo en orden. Señor presidente, presidente saluda en estos momentos desde la puertecera del avión. Rumbo a nuestras Islas Malvinas, levanta vuelo el avión presidencial que conduce al teniente general Leopoldo Fortunato Galtieri.
La celeste blanca de las Malvinas no va a ser arribada. Creo que es un convencimiento de todos los argentinos. Podemos conversar, estamos dispuestos a seguir el diálogo, a buscar aproximaciones, a satisfacer los intereses de Gran Bretaña, de los pobladores de las Islas Malvinas, del estilo de vida, satisfacer económicamente todas las circunstancias que se presenten dentro de la lógica y lo normal.
I'm very glad to be in Washington. We will do everything we can to try and find a peaceful settlement to this dispute. But I have not disguised from the British people, and I will not disguise from you, that there are real difficulties and real obstacles. But I look forward now to talking again with Mr. Hague, and we will do everything we can to try and find a peaceful settlement.